Thank you to my partner for today's video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, and it makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Now listen, I am not a big grocery shopping, meal planning kind of gal. And with HelloFresh, I don't have to be. They offer a wide variety of quick and easy recipes, including 20-minute meals, plus easy cleanup and low prep options. Plus, you can increase your servings and use the leftovers for lunches, which is an absolute game changer. The pre-portioned ingredients mean there's less prep for you and less wasted food. The packaging they use to ship your food is made of recycled content, and it cuts down on your food waste by at least 25% compared to grocery shopping. Okay, all of this is great, but also the recipes are genuinely really delicious. There's a ton to choose from. My favorite has been the white cheddar Wonder Burger with the special sauce and the potato wedges. It was good, all right? And it was really fun and easy to prepare on a busy weeknight. In case you didn't know, I'm a one-woman show over here, so running a small business means I'm working long hours. So I can't tell you how awesome it is to have HelloFresh delivered right to my door for busy weeknight cooking without the hassle. Thanks, HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code Leeja16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Now listen, there are a million different legal issues in Euphoria that I could react to, but we would be here all day. So let's talk about 2 things I've seen floating around the interwebs a lot lately about season 2 of Euphoria that raise some interesting legal questions. Specifically, we're going to talk about the hidden camera in Samantha's closet and Lexi's play, where she aired everyone's dirty laundry in a very public way. Frankly, you don't need to have seen Euphoria to follow what I'm talking about, but to sum it up in one sentence, here goes. Lots of angsty teens played by full adults doing inappropriate things, excellent cinematography, beautiful makeup, ultimate Gen Z fever dream. Got it? Great, let's jump in. So fans of the show caught a tiny detail in episode 6 that has raised some interesting questions, both for the plot line and also when it comes to the law, all right? So we got Maddie. She's a teen. She babysits for a woman named Samantha, who's wealthy and mysterious and has an excellent closet filled with beautiful clothes, okay? So after Maddie puts the kid down for the night, she likes to go into that closet and rifle around and try on Samantha's clothes. In episode 6, however, while Maddie's trying on Samantha's clothes, Maddie gets a text from Samantha that she's 15 minutes away. So Maddie quickly starts changing out of the clothes, and the camera pans to an alarm clock showing the time, but also showing something else interesting. It's a tiny camera with a red light, indicating that it's recording. So now people are abuzz on Twitter and Reddit about what it could mean, though there are no clear answers. Some have hinted that there's some weird sexual tension between Samantha, who's an adult woman, and Maddie, who's a kid who just turned 18. Though the fact that we're supposed to believe that these people are teens is about as bad as the middle-aged cast of Grease performing with literal 5 o'clock shadow. So people have been wondering, is this legal? What are the legal implications of planting a hidden camera in your own home? Well, this depends on jurisdiction, and we don't know where this fictional high school is located, but it's filmed in Southern California and looks vaguely Californian, so we'll stick with California. One thing to touch on, which doesn't necessarily apply here, but is interesting, is the idea of one-party or two-party consent states. So where a confidential conversation is being recorded, one-party consent states allow for that conversation to be recorded so long as one of the parties to the conversation consents. In a two-party consent state, and California is a two-party consent state, both parties to the conversation must consent to being recorded. However, this doesn't apply here because this isn't a conversation. What does come into play in this situation is privacy law. While you are perfectly free to install cameras inside your home, each individual in the state of California, and federally speaking, has an expectation of privacy such that violating that privacy, like via installing cameras, could be legally actionable, meaning Samantha could get sued. California's constitution explicitly says all people are by nature free and independent and have inalienable rights. Among these are pursuing and obtaining privacy. So there's an explicit constitutional guarantee of privacy that is violated if you film somewhere where they have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Locations where people have an expectation of privacy in the home include bedrooms, bathrooms, and changing rooms. Arguably, this closet would fall in the category of where someone would be changing and would have a reasonable expectation that what they're doing is private. However, these protections don't extend to, for example, children's bedrooms if you have like a baby camera set up, for example. But I'd say they arguably could extend to Maddie here, and she could potentially sue Samantha for invasion of privacy. To do so in California, she'd have to prove 1, a legally protected privacy interest, 2, a reasonable expectation of privacy in the circumstances, and 3, conduct by Samantha constituting a serious invasion of privacy. I'd say her privacy interest in not being watched while she's getting changed is pretty cognizable here, and the secret filming in a location where she had an expectation of privacy could potentially be actionable. However, I would say any potential damages she could win would be mitigated by the fact that she was digging through someone else's personal property in that person's home, which is arguably beyond the scope of the permission that she was granted to even be on their private property to begin with. Like, they gave her permission to hang out there and watch the kid, not go through the closets, you know what I mean? So I don't know that it would be worth it to bring a lawsuit given all of the circumstances, the lack of apparent damages, and the cost of hiring a lawyer to do so. Though I will say Samantha would be a great target for a lawsuit because she has a lot of assets with which to pay for any damages. However, this could extend into criminal territory because even though Maddie turns 18 in season 2, if she was under 18 at any point while that camera was still in use and recording and she's changing in that room, that could maybe be considered what I'll call CP for the algorithm. Though I guess if she's not getting like fully naked, I suppose there would be an argument that Maddie's actions aren't explicitly sexual in nature and therefore this isn't CP, because in California, CP has to be depicting a minor in a sexual way. But if it's for Samantha's sexual gratification, there could be an argument that this is CP, or was, if that camera was ever on and recording while Maddie was under 18. Yikes. All right, then we have Lexi's play. So Lexi's the younger sister of one of the main characters, and she writes this play about her sister and all her sister's friends and her own friend Rue, basically a retelling of season 1 of Euphoria, put on as a high school play in front of everyone in school and all their parents, airing out dirty laundry, revealing secrets, talking about very private things in a very public sphere, or, you know, as public as a high school play can get. Notably, she discusses the drug addiction of her friend Rue. She implies that her sister's boyfriend Nate is gay, and she portrays her sister and her friends as airheaded, vain, and mean. And as the play unfolds, those people are sitting in the audience and realizing that their own stories are being played out on stage without their permission. But is this illegal? Well, there are 3 issues that come into play when you use someone else's true story in your fictional work, be it a play or a film or a piece of writing. Those are defamation, invasion of privacy, and misappropriation of the right of publicity. We've talked about defamation a lot, and it applies here as well. These people are not being portrayed favorably. They're being shown as drug abusers, outed as gay, and portrayed as vapid and cruel. Some of this could be fodder for a defamation lawsuit. To bring a defamation claim, the person has to show that there was a statement that was shared with a third party, that the statement was untrue, and that it hurt the person's reputation. It's also important to note that it has to be discernible to third parties that the statement was about that person. So like, this is a play and the names have been changed, but everyone in the audience knew it was about them and about each other. I'd say that it's pretty easily discernible who the real life people are that are being depicted in this play. So I don't think that would be an issue. The issue for a defamation case here would be that the statement can't be true. So for Rue, who does use drugs, defamation would be a hard sell because it's not an incorrect portrayal. For Lexi's sister and her friends, they may have a slightly stronger defamation case because they're being portrayed as vapid and mean, and maybe throughout the show we've seen that they are actually vapid and mean, but I think that they would argue that they are not, and that being portrayed in that light hurts their reputation. That would be something that would have to be battled out in court, and I'm not sure that Lexi would be a great target for a defamation lawsuit since she's a minor and not particularly wealthy, though perhaps the school, whose board supposedly allowed this play to move forward, could be a target of these lawsuits. Nate's situation is a little more difficult from a defamation standpoint. Is being outed as gay defamatory? It used to be that if someone insinuated that you were gay, it was considered defamation per se. Like, it was so obviously disastrous for your reputation to be considered gay that you didn't even have to prove you were damaged. It was just assumed. That mentality has shifted as public opinion about the gays has, in some instances, become a bit more accepting, and the notion that it's shameful and damaging to your reputation to be gay has fallen out of favor. So a defamation claim for Nate in this situation may not be the best route, but I think a better route would be an invasion of privacy claim. In many states, you can sue someone for disclosing private information. In California, to sue for public disclosure of private facts, the person would have to show that there was a public disclosure of private facts about an individual that would offend the average person, that was not a legitimate public concern, and where the defendant published private facts with reckless disregard for their truth or falsity. Here, it would be easier to argue that outing Nate, whether or not it's true, would be offensive to the average person. Not so much from the perspective that it's shameful to be gay, though that still could come into play, you know, like just because the gays can wed men doesn't mean we've done away with homophobia, but also the average person who is not yet out would likely be offended to be outed in that way. Similarly, I think Rue would have a case for public disclosure of private information, as her drug use is something in which she likely had an expectation of privacy, and even though her drug use is technically illegal, I'd argue that that makes an even stronger case for her against Lexi or the school board, because the sharing of that private information could have much deeper repercussions to her reputation than anyone else who's depicted in the show. And then finally, there's the idea of misappropriation of someone's likeness, also known as the right of publicity. We've talked about this before, but my favorite example to use is that one time that a drugstore found a paparazzi photo of Katherine Heigl carrying their bags, and they tweeted the picture saying that even Katherine Heigl likes to shop with them. And then she sued them, and they paid her a lot of money for that one tweet. You see, you can't use someone's likeness to sell things. But is that what's happening here? It's arguable both ways, I think. Like I've already said, I think the characters in the play are pretty easily identifiable as the real-life people they're depicting, so it would be a strong argument to say that this is clearly use of their likeness. It's them being portrayed in a play. However, it takes more than that to sue for misappropriation of your likeness. You would also have to argue that the misappropriation was for commercial purposes. Is a high school play a commercial purpose? Maybe. I mean, they probably had to pay money to get in to see the show, but that's of course very different than a drugstore telling people a celebrity shops there in order to get more people to buy their stuff. If this were like a major production that was bringing in a lot of money, they may have a stronger reason to bring a misappropriation claim against Lexi or the school, but odds are they're charging like $5 at the door, so the actual damages suffered by the individual parties is probably small, and it's questionable whether it would be worth the hassle to bring a lawsuit over a minor high school production. So that's a brief overview of a few legal problems in Euphoria. Did I miss anything? Do you have other burning Euphoria questions? Leave them in the comments below. Thank you to Seth, my lovely Patreon supporter, for dropping the idea for this video in our Discord chat. If you're interested in getting the inside scoop, check out my Patreon at the link below. Thank you once again to HelloFresh for partnering with me on today's video. A reminder that you can go to HelloFresh.com and use the code Leeja16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. If you found this video interesting, check out this video where I talk about Kesha and her defamation lawsuit with Dr. Luke. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this informational or entertaining, and hit subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye!